This is Jason Romano from Sports Spectrum. Remember, success is a choice. And what choice are you going to make today?
Providing insights to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and add value to those around you. You're listening to the Success is a Choice podcast, where you get a peek into the lives of industry leaders as they share their stories with you.
Welcome to Success is a Choice podcast. I'm your host, Jamy Bechler, and our guest today is Matt Morse. Matt is an innovative entrepreneur, a #1 best-selling author, speaker, consultant, and a coach who equips people and teams with the tools and strategies needed to maximize their impact. Matt is a former Division I baseball player who, along with Brian Cain, co-authored the book Mental Conditioning for Baseball. Matt just recently started a podcast, and to let you know what kind of a platform and impact he has, New York Times best-selling author and motivational speaker John Gordon was his second guest. Now we are going to turn the tables on Matt and ask him some questions. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm fired up to be here. I appreciate that introduction, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
Well, excellent. Let's start off with, you wrote a blog post, kind of a fun one, entitled, "Why You Don't Know What I Do." So tell me, what don't I know what you do?
Yeah, it's funny that I've been so far in the trenches, per se, with some of the clients and the individuals that I work with over the past 2 or 3 years, that I haven't done a great job of educating people on, what I'm doing and who I'm working with. And it just came to the point where I was such a firm believer in you have to walk the talk, and I was telling people about marketing funnels and live events and how to self-publish books and run Facebook ads, all these different things, but I wasn't doing them for myself. And so I wanted to start putting my content out there because I have a lot to share, and making that a priority, ultimately knowing that that's going to help me to serve more people in a bigger and better way. But that the first 2 or 3 years there, people would always ask me, questions that were not very relevant to what I actually did. And so it was a little bit frustrating, but that's on me, obviously, because I have not done a good enough job of explaining that. So part of it is that I was so committed to over-delivering the clients I'm working with. Part of it is there's non-disclosure agreements and exclusivity deals that are sometimes a part of it. And also some of it is that I'm an entrepreneur and a consultant, right? And if you ask anybody what entrepreneurs and consultants do, not many people really know, because ultimately when I wake up in the morning, I get to decide what I'm going to do that day. I get to decide how long I'm going to execute the mission for that day. I get to decide what phone calls I'm going to have, what interviews I'm going to do. And that I am very, very grateful for that opportunity. But even family members and friends are just very, in the dark as to what it is that I actually do. So I'm on a mission now to get out there and very, very much clarify that for people, because I know that I can help more people if I do that.
I mentioned in the intro that you have a podcast now, that you were a former baseball player. You have a best-selling book out there. Kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. Give us a couple minutes or a short bio of where you came from to get to where you're at now.
Sure. So yeah, it started a long, long time ago. I grew up in Sandwich, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, about an hour west, and was just an avid athlete. I played baseball, football, basketball. I was always very entrepreneurial, which is a natural fit with what I'm doing today, and it makes a lot of things come full circle as to why I was doing this. And so in high school, in the recruiting process, I was always wanting to be a college coach. Whenever I was done playing, I would look at recruiting coordinators and people who were recruiting me as a baseball player in two ways. One, okay, they're recruiting me to be a part of their program. Where do I want to play? But two, why are they recruiting me this way? How are they recruiting me? Why did they write this email? How did they make this phone call? Why did they do it when they did it? So I've always looked at things in two perspectives. So when I walk into a live event, per se, I'm looking at the event from an audience member and learning and consuming content, but also from a production standpoint. How are they hosting this event? Why do they have this timeline? Why do they have the lights dim here? all these little things I'm always paying attention to. And so when I was going through that recruiting process, I was looking for the best fit, obviously, as an athlete, wanting to be a coach. So I get to UAB, where I played 5 years of college baseball there for Coach Shoop, which was an incredible experience, and had always been set on, okay, when I'm done playing, I'm going to play as long as I can, and I'm going to coach college baseball. So it was my freshman, sophomore year, I started to build that relationship with Brian Cain, who I know you have a relationship with, and got to know, was very intrigued by the mental game. And so my third year, 2013, I just really set out as kind of an active research type of project to interview the best of the best in the mental game, because I had learned so much from Brian and knew that if I wanted to be a coach, I needed to get information and learn what other people are doing in terms of the mental game, so that when I'm coaching, I can formulate my own philosophy and most efficiently and effectively teach my players how to maximize their performance by using their mind instead of letting the mind use them. So I reached out to 5 or 6 individuals that I had followed on social media or that I had seen speak in different places, and just asked them if I could do a quick, 20, 30-minute interview about the mental game. I asked them each a few questions about what they do, and then I asked them all a group of 10 to 15 questions that were the same for every interviewee, ultimately trying to find what are the common denominators among these great mental performance coaches. Well, as I got through 6, 7 interviews, they're referring me to another great person who would be a great fit for this project. They're telling me this needs to become a book and an audio program, and I didn't know how to do any of that, but kind of taught myself through Google and YouTube and all the great resources out there how to do that. So I self-published, put this thing together. Well, as many of you probably know, the NCAA is not a big fan of making money of any athletes making money, so I couldn't use my name in any way, shape, or form to promote this project that I just put together. So I was, I'd always been entrepreneurial. I was a marketing undergrad. I had been following and using social media for a long time. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of experiment with a lot of things that I had been using and seeing and in terms of launching this product. So it's called Mental Game VIP. It's 21 interviews with different mental performance coaches. And I built a Twitter account and a Facebook page and just strictly launched this product through those platforms. My name was nowhere to be seen. No one really knew who created it. And so it ended up doing well because I stumbled upon Jeff Walker's book Launch when I was sitting in my college apartment one night, and I realized that I had a ton of what are called JV partners, people who are going to help me promote this product. Those partners were the individuals that I interviewed as a part of this project. So basically what I did was I built out a website myself. I had the book ready to go. It was also the audio program, sorted by topic and whatnot. And then I emailed everybody who I interviewed after I had their permission to create this turn this into a product. I emailed them and said, hey, this is going to be available. I would love to have you support this. If you wanted to tweet it out or email it out, that would be amazing. Here's an affiliate link. You'll get paid a percentage on whatever sales you generate. Well, I was just blown away by one, that everybody wanted to be a part of the product, and two, they were all in support. They all pushed it really, really hard to their audiences, talking about what a great product it was. And, and three, they didn't even send their affiliate links. They were like, no, you've done so much for me and you've positioned me and, helped me in so many ways. I don't want a percentage of this. I just want, to promote the product because I think it's great. So long story long is that this product launch opened my eyes, one, to, okay, there's a lot of impact to be made out there that might not necessarily be coaching a baseball team. And then two was that these individuals, that what I didn't anticipate, these individuals came back to me saying, I want you to promote my products, services in the way that you just did this. Like, I know you're a college baseball player, but I want to hire you to be, a marketing arm of our company, or, my consultant, or whatever it is. And so all along, I was, still saying for 2 more years now, I'm saying that's great. I think this is great. This is really cool, but I'm going to coach. Well, it comes down to, I finished in 2015. I finished playing, and I had 7 or 8 different opportunities to go coach college baseball, director of operations, volunteer assistant at the Division I level. Great opportunities. What I had always thought I wanted to do. When I really dug deep and I thought, okay, why do I want to coach? It wasn't necessarily as much about hit, run, throw as it was about helping people and helping in a holistic way, helping them improve their life, improve their business. And I saw a very unique opportunity a unique, a ton of demand to get in on the business side of sports, and primarily in baseball right out of the chute, in terms of helping people build their brands, create products, leverage their knowledge and expertise, get paid to speak, all these different things. And so on the business side, I had 5 clients who were waiting to hire me as soon as I was done playing. And so I decided I'm just going to go for it. And, subconsciously, it's funny looking back, this is what I always wanted to be doing. I didn't know that it existed. And in reality, it didn't exist. 10 years ago, I would never be able to do what I'm doing right now. But with the evolution of technology, it's really opened some doors. And I really, just committed to over-delivering to those few clients that I was working with right away, getting results for them. And back to what we said, why people didn't know what I was doing, because I didn't really talk much. I was just doing it, working, failing, succeeding, working, failing, succeeding, and learning so much along the way. I feel like in the last 3 or 4 years, I've learned more than most people probably do in a lifetime, because I'm just doing it so much. I'm going to events and I'm studying people and I'm reading books, but ultimately I'm doing it, and I'm just launching product after product after product, and I'm building brand after brand after brand, and website after website after website, to the point where, I have to be good at it because I've done it so much. And so, that brings me to where, we're at today, sitting here having this conversation, Jamie, is that I'm so committed to over-delivering those clients. It's opened a lot of doors. I've gotten a ton of great referrals, and I blocked off some time here towards the end of this year now to really start to ramp up on my personal brand side, start to walk the talk, start to, serve more people at a deeper level, and be able to scale kind of what I'm teaching and what I'm doing as best as possible. And it's, it's never perfect, but I'm moving forward very quickly in what I feel is the best route possible.
So you have 2 main websites. Tell our listeners about, you just talked about you're starting to ramp up your own personal brand. That's kind of one website, and then your business is another. Talk about both of those, if you would, please.
Sure. Corporately, so I came in with Matt Morse LLC, which is essentially my consulting, my coaching, my hands-off, the strategy for everything that I'm doing. And that includes zero implementation or execution, meaning I have coaching programs. I have an entrepreneur lab now where I'm sharing basically what I'm doing, what I'm learning, what I'm teaching with in more of a one-to-many approach. But I also have one-on-one coaching there too, where I have, direct text and phone access to some of my closest private coaching clients. On the flip side of that is Kaifek. That's a digital marketing agency, full service. We do it all for you. So what that means is if you need a website built, we build the site for you. If you need, you have a book in your head, we will help you get the book onto paper, format it into a interior, wrap a cover around the front of it, launch the book for you, install the marketing funnel that's going to continue to drive sales, manage your Facebook ads, you name it, we're doing it for you. So the matt-morse.com brand is my personal side where I'm sharing everything from lifestyle, business, leadership. There's a little bit of motivation built in. It really is just allowing me to express myself and what I'm doing, what I'm teaching, trying to help more people in a deeper way. And the Kaifek side is very simple. We do it for you. And so there's some clients I'm working with just on the coaching and consulting side. They have a team. They might have 50 employees. They might have a web developer already in place. However, that their setup is, I come in and can work with them in that way. And on the Kaifek side, there's a lot of solopreneurs, per se, who are authors, speakers, great at what they do, and just want someone else to handle the rest. And that's what we do. Everything from web, social, email, content, product creation, product launches, Facebook ads, everything from on that side. And I would say the biggest distinguishing factor on both of those brands, per se, from everyone else, and maybe why it's moving and growing so quickly, is what I would say is speed, quality, and that my unique background, right? So in terms of speed, I think we work faster than anybody else out there. In terms of quality, we get it done right. We get it done in a way that meets the client's needs. One of the most enjoyable, fulfilling parts of what I do is getting to get inside of the client, get to know them on a deeper level so that I can pull out that knowledge and expertise in the most creative and strategic ways possible. And then in terms of a unique background, I would say I have, if you look at paper, I have a bachelor degree in marketing and I have a master's degree in business administration, which is nice, but I never really talk about it. Nobody asks, what's your degree? And they ask, what do you do? Who do you work with? And so I have a unique background where I have the traditional business education. I have playing as an athlete for a long time, and I just know how to market to coaches, athletes, and parents really, really well because I know so many of those types of individuals that I know what they want, I know what they need, I know their pain points. And so I think that unique background has really allowed me to move quickly, get success quickly, and really relate to some of these people who sometimes struggle, to talk, if they're talking to a marketing agency or a consultant, they sometimes struggle to connect because they just don't exactly have the same common ground of knowing where they came from, where they want to go, and the vision and the opportunity that's out there in sports in particular. So I work with clients outside of sports, but I would say 90+% of the projects that I'm working on, the clients that I'm working with right now are in sports, either authors or speakers who are all over the place in all sports. There's strength coaches, there's sports psychology coaches, there's former Major League Baseball players. So there's a wide variety and diversity to it. A lot of it, though, is in sports.
Now, you help a lot of your clients, your organizations, individuals. You help them to build a stronger social media presence, just to increase brand recognition. Why is that important? And what are some ways that you actually help them in this area?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think brand is maybe a buzzword right now. Some people would say, but ultimately, I think the brand is everything. And your brand is what people are saying about you when you're not around, right? Your brand. If you brand hard and you market a little bit, to me, sales come naturally. A lot of people are kind of afraid of quote unquote selling or sales, and to me. And you'll see in my marketing, and sometimes this comes through with a client. Obviously, it depends on who the client is and what they want. But you'll see in a lot of my marketing that I'm branding very hard. I market a little bit, and the sales are naturally there because I create what I would call a reciprocity imbalance. I try to give people so much value in the content, in the training, in phone calls and interviews like this that they naturally then want to come back and buy whatever I make an offer on. So I think that's kind of a high-level 10,000-foot view at this thing, but social media is a humongous piece of the puzzle right now. It's a part of what I do, but it may be the most important thing because I was talking to an athletic director at a Division I athletic department last week, and he was talking about, we'd love to bring you in to improve our social media presence. So, well, why do you want to do that? He's like, well, social media is up probably everything, especially in the recruiting process. And I look at recruiting and marketing very similarly in that you're trying to get someone to take a desired action or do what you want them to do. And that is in, say, recruiting, for example, a coach goes out, they see an athlete they like, they make a scholarship offer or they make a phone call. The first thing that kid does when he gets the offer, he gets off the phone, is he's going to Twitter, he's going to Instagram, he's going to Facebook, and he's looking for that program or that coach on social media. So that is why I think it's important to build both the personal brand and your program's brand. In this example of an athlete, a coach, and a team, I think the coach needs to have a personal brand. I think the team needs to have a program brand. And that's important because the human connection is so strong, right? When a kid makes a decision, when I decided to go play at UAB, I was deciding just as much, if not more, to go play for Coach Shoop as I was to go to UAB, if that makes sense. And so I think that the personal brand and the program brand are extremely important. And within brand is, yes, social media presence. And, I just think that it's a way that you can really build your tribe fast if you put out great content that fits the platform, that's created for what it's meant to be used as, and a lot of what I'm doing is not rocket science. It's not like I have a secret code that unlocks these people and gets them propelled forward. It's not so much that as it is there's a little bit of feel, but there's so much action, and there's just doing it. And it's, let's be consistent with this thing. I'm going to hold you accountable, and we're going to put the content out there, and we're going to constantly adapt and adjust. We're going to see what's resonating with the audience. We're going to feed them more of that, and then if it's not resonating, we're going to tweak it, and we're going to change it until it does. And there's just so much reach that you can accomplish so quickly with the power of social media right now, that I think it is such an important tool to feed the mission. Whether it's a website, social media, an email, everything that you're putting out there within your brand needs to serve a purpose. It needs to feed your mission. And so the first step before we do any of that is getting clarity on what is your mission, what are you trying to accomplish, and why, and telling that story through all of the avenues we just talked about.
Now, not only are you on the cutting edge with social media, but you also use drones. Talk a little bit about drones.
Yeah, so I got my dad a drone for Christmas last year, a little toy one, just to fly around the neighborhood, and he loved it. And I told him, I was like, well, I've been thinking about getting a real drone, a Mavic DJI drone that shoots 4K videos, because there's a lot of clients I work with who do live events or outdoor training things, and I think it would be really, really good to have some of that aerial footage built into our video marketing efforts. And so he was like, well, if you want to get it, I'll go get my FAA license. I'll learn how to fly this thing so that I can come film on demand from the sky. And I thought, wow, this just sounds like a good opportunity. The worst case scenario is we break even, we get the money back for the drone, and my dad has a fun toy to play with. But ultimately, it's really starting to take off, and there's so many clients who are into this drone footage, whether it be like say an indoor basketball gym creating a training video. Yeah, we have on the floor cameras, but we also have drones flying over the top to use as B-roll or cutaway footage in some of those videos. Everything from that to a park district who wants to have flyovers of their parks and things to put on their website. And so again, the drone is a tool to serve the purpose or feed the mission or whatever they're trying to accomplish. And my, like you said in my intro, my mission is to equip others to maximize their impact. If there's anything that I can do to equip them, I'm going to do it. So drone footage happens to be one of those things right now that is relevant, that is really helping improve our video marketing efforts.
We'll rejoin our conversation with Matt in just a moment. And if you are interested in Matt's book, Mental Conditioning for Baseball, or any of Brian Cain's books, then our friends at Audible have a special deal for our listeners. Right now, you can download a free audiobook by going to the website audibletrial.com/success is a choice. Once you are at that page, just type in Matt Morse, that's Morse, into the search box, and you can download one of those books for free. Once again, that address is audibletrial.com/success is a choice. And now back to our conversation with Matt Morse. Okay, Matt, you are successful. You've done a lot of great things here, both as a baseball player, a writer, now as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, but I'm sure that you've had some challenges to overcome. What have been one or two of your favorite failures, lessons that you've learned?
Yeah, I'll say what most people would see as a failure, and I for sure saw as a failure at the time, was my junior year of college when I was, a week away from opening day and ended up diving for a ball in practice and tore my labrum and ended up getting a medical redshirt, missing the season. Really frustrating time, just, trying to play through it and all these different things, and then ended up getting surgery and was absolutely a pivotal point in my career because it forced me to take a step back and look at this thing as like, okay, what am I doing here? What am I setting myself up for after school? What do I really want to do? And that, coupled with just an amazing sequence of events and mentors and people who came into my life that year, 2013, 14-ish, really, people, Brian Cain mentoring me and Dr. Rob Gilbert inspiring me to kind of start that Mental Game VIP type of project, and attending a Tony Robbins live event and just seeing the hunger in people around the world for growth, for personal development, for improving their business, and seeing that I might be able to have help them 1% was just really inspiring to me to really, one, get my act together, and two, develop a skill set that is going to allow me to make a real difference. So to the original question, that would be my favorite failure, but it wasn't a failure. And I don't really look at too many things as failures. But I would say that the reason that you might, in that question, say that I've been successful or had success is that I've just failed so much in what other people would consider failures every day, just running into roadblocks and obstacles, and whether it's a tech snafu that I don't know how to get through, or some sort of a deal that takes longer than I anticipated, or, little things like that would really, I think, derail some people, and I just keep going. And I just know that I have a big vision. I have big things that I want to do, and I'm going to do them, and I'm going to experience failure, and I'm fully aware that it's part of the process, and I'm ready for it. I've already played it all out in my mind, anything that could happen. I know I'm going to die. This may be weird, but I've written my obituary because I just know that it frees me up to go faster, further, and do more, because I just know what's coming. And another thing I'll share here is a concept called Pre-Mortem that I've started to implement. I picked this up from Brian Johnson in his philosopher's notes, is basically saying, looking at a project and saying, if this failed epically, what would be the reason why? What could cause this to die and not play out how we think it could? And from the very get-go, going through that process in my head and identifying all of those things that could derail this project, that could cause it to be a failure, man, I just feel like it almost guarantees success.
As we mentioned in the intro, you have your own podcast, and you had John Gordon on as your second guest. And many of our listeners are fans of his. What were some of the highlights of that episode? What kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, it was very humbling to have John Gordon on my podcast, the guy who I've looked up to for so long and read all of his books. And man, he's done so many great things, and he's doing such great work. To have him on there was a pretty surreal experience. A guy that is really impacting millions and millions of people every day. His episode, as any of the listeners who have listened know, that the Mo Show is a very fast-paced type of show where I want to get people a ton of value in 8 to 12 minutes and really try to pull the stuff out of these people as quickly as possible and as efficiently as we can. But the highlights from that episode, I would say, was he talked a little bit about having the same challenge per se as a lot of people are having. It's just that they feel like they're so busy and there's so much going on, and sure, maybe it's technology and social media has caused that, because there is so much opportunity out there that people they know it. They subconsciously know there's so much opportunity that they want to go get it. They want to go make it happen. But that also is a double-edged sword in that it can make you feel like you need to constantly be putting out content, and that's part of what I'm doing with clients is helping automate that, schedule that, so that they can be freed up to go do what they do best. But it was cool to listen to a guy like him talk about the challenge of feeling so busy and having so much going on. Another thing I would say that stood out was his comments on lifestyle and his ability to execute with a team remotely, and that's something that I'm doing and I'm building, and I have a couple full-time people who work with me in person, but I have a bigger team that is remote, and they can work from home or whatever they do. And that is a huge priority of mine moving forward, is to maintain that flexibility, that remote lifestyle that ultimately I believe allows people to create their best work. And that it's not for everybody, but I know that if I were to have to go to an office from 9 to 5 every day, I would never produce nearly the way that I do right now, because I feel like that flexibility frees me up. And there's times when I need to get up earlier, stay up later. I need to take a day off. I need to take a month off. I took the whole month of July off because I knew that I needed to shut it down so that I could speed up for these 5 months here before the end of the year. And maybe the best thing that I've done is really take some of that time. And that's only possible, I believe, if you create that type of environment for your team. So I know John has 8, 10 plus employees, team members that work with him. And so to hear him talk about that was pretty cool.
Who would be your on your bucket list for future podcast guests? Who are those big ones that you would love to get at some point?
Yeah. I'm in talks right now with the Tim Ferriss, Mark Cuban, Clay Travis, people like that. Really, ultimately, anybody who has value, who can either inspire or educate or teach the listeners. I mean, it's not about me necessarily as much as it is about who are the bucket lists. What's the bucket list for the listeners, and who do they want me to give a 10-minute interview with? And so I'm always listening to the listeners. Who do they want on the show? But in terms of my bucket list in the shorter term, I'm talking with Mark Cuban, Tim Ferriss, Clay Travis, just personalities, people who are influential. And I'm really taking a different angle at this. And one is that it's a short, fast-paced interview. But two, in that most people are asking them about what they're teaching necessarily. What is John Gordon speaking about? What is Tony Robbins teaching at his event this weekend? And I'm coming at it from a very different angle of how are you building your brand? What's happening behind the scenes that's powering this machine, and trying to just pull some of that out of them in a short 10-minute interview. And I also feel like that gives me the best chance to get to some of these individuals, is saying, hey, whether it's going for a walk with you for 5 minutes and busting out the mic while we're walking, or jumping on the phone while you're on a ride to the airport, or however we can do that, I'm going to try to be as flexible as possible, and ultimately delivering as much value from those guests to the listeners as possible. I just think of it as I'm kind of the middleman, the medium that those listeners are going to get that value.
Well, getting you ready for when you have Tim Ferriss on, there's a question that he asked in his most recent book to all these big-time people to find out about their success. But it was, what is a purchase of $100 or less that you've had that had a profound impact on your life? How would you answer that?
Yeah, for sure. There's two books and that I would say that have had a profound effect. My number one would probably be Launch by Jeff Walker, just because I stumbled upon it at the right time when I had a product and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But it also was kind of like a online marketing 101, and not just about launching products, but about marketing in general. And so it was funny because I was in marketing classes, all day long. I would sit in marketing classrooms. But then I read this book overnight in one sitting. I didn't put it down. And man, it just put it all together for me. It put the pieces of the puzzle in place. It took a lot of thoughts and concepts and strategies and things that I had thought about for a long time and put them, put terminology around it and really made it made sense to me. And in turn then has allowed me to help so many people with those very similar topics. I've tweaked it and I've kind of created my own twist to it, and especially with athletes, parents, and coaches, knowing how they function. It's a little bit different, but the concepts and the foundation of that book is so good. It was $9 on Amazon. I bought the Kindle version, read it overnight. And the second would be Tim's 4-Hour Workweek book that really introduced me to the lifestyle component of this thing, and that we don't need to work 40 years to build up a retirement fund to have some of our least physical years to sit on with having some money and not being able to do anything. And so that is why I took July off. That is why I take weeks off. That is why I am such a proponent of the remote lifestyle, because I know and I've seen, that book kickstarted it for me. And then I've just continued to dig in and study and see how this thing can really come together. And that book, was $18 at a bookstore. I found used at a bookstore that I didn't even mean to go into when I was looking for a sandwich on a college baseball road trip, So it's crazy how these things happen. But those two books, without a doubt, would be at the top of my list.
Once again, if you would, give us the where people can connect with you, and we'll be sure to put those in the show notes for them.
Sure, yeah. Matt-Morse.com, Morse. is the homepage for everything, and you'll find, a self-evaluator there that I just created. I think it's pretty cool. I've gotten some great feedback on it. I've got links to all my social media platforms, some blog posts, most recent podcast episodes up there. So matt-morse.com would be the place to go for that. And then kaifect.com, Kaifect, is the agency that gets it done for you. If you have ideas and you want to make them happen, kaifect.com is the place to go.
Well, Matt, we appreciate you joining us today. I know you're busy keeping your dad under wraps with his new drone, and that's a kid in a toy store right there. Candy store. That's a new toy. So thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate your insights.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. It was fun.
Matt is doing some great things, and many of you might be interested in utilizing his services to build your brand, your website, or social media presence. Maybe you have an advertising campaign that you have been thinking about doing. I would highly encourage you to check out our show notes for all of his links and how you can get connected to Matt. Thanks for listening, and please take just a quick second to hit that little subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next time, remember that success is a choice. What choice will you make today?